We are in search of 1,000,000 stories in our lifetime. This masterclass is about inspiring you to be part of the revolution, the book writing revolution, 1,000,000 stories in our lifetime. How to write a book about your life. Write your life story in 100 days or less. Stories have a transformative power to allow us to see the world in a different way than we do if we encounter it on our own. Stories are an entry point to understanding a different experience of the world. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you did not do than by the ones you did. I'm sure you want to live a life of impact. Now, the goal is not to live forever, and the goal is to create something that will. Do you have a fantastic life story you want to know how to write your life story, whether it is just for you or so others can learn from you? Writing and publishing a book about your life story is a bit of a different process from writing a novel or even writing about someone else. But your story is essential. It is your life. It is your legacy. Your story in your book will be passed down from one generation to another, from you to your children and their children's children, or simply stay in your family for years on years. That's right. If that sounds good to you, we can help. We are committing to helping people to write 1,000,000 stories in our lifetime. The story you write or record is your story. Rather than developing characters for a made-up story, it is your personal life you are sharing with the readers. It is a very vulnerable and worthwhile form of writing. If you have an incredible true story to tell about your life, but are unsure where to start writing your life story, that's right, we can help. Learn the exact step-by-step methods by which we have helped others publish their own books and how you can do it too, just as quickly. At the end of this masterclass, you will know precisely why you must write your story. We will empower you with the 10 steps to starting and completing your memoir or your story. And finally, we will unpack each of the 10 steps to complete your first memoir draft. Yes, that's right, in 120 days or less. Here are the steps for writing a book about your life. Number 1, start by journaling or free writing. Number 2, outline and organize your notes. Number 3, pick a non-fiction genre to write in. Number 4, research for accuracy. Number 5, identify characters and perspective. Number 6, add speculation. Number 7, determine the setting. Number 8, remember the dialogue. Number 9, prepare for negative pushback. And number 10, commit to finishing. Now let's go through all the 10 steps in detail. Why write a story about your life? Since the beginning of humanity on earth, there has not been anyone like you. There will never be another person like you. You matter. Many people think they need to do something massive or be famous to write about their lives. That is not true at all. More people can relate to regular, non-famous people and their struggles than they can those who have been in the limelight. The reason writing about your life is important is because you have a story and you have a story to tell. You have something worth sharing that can change the lives of others through your trials, tribulations, and even your victories. Even if you are not ready to write a memoir, you still have something valuable to share. Knowledge gained through the years, or maybe you just experienced a short, influential event in your life that you believe can help others. No matter what that story is, you can and you should tell it. People ask, how do I write a book about myself? One of the hardest things in life is looking inside ourselves. We spend so long looking outward to everyone else than that when we finally decide to take a peek inside, it is hard. That's right. Not to mention writing a book about yourself. The most important thing to write a book about yourself is to get genuine, honest, and dig into the raw and deep parts of yourself. Nobody wants a book about you that is all sunshine and rainbows because that's not real life, and you know that. So here are a few steps to write a book about yourself. Decide if you are ready to write a book about yourself and spend some time self-reflecting. It's a worthwhile thing. Decide which specific experience of your life you want to focus on. Create a master mind map of the things that pop up. How do you write a true story, you ask? Well, true stories can be tricky because you must decide if you want people to know it is a true story about your life. In that case, writing a memoir might be a better idea for you. There are a few things to think about if you want to write a true story. Pay attention. Do you want it to be a non-fiction, more like a memoir? Do you want it to be a chronological telling of your life, an autobiography? Do you want to write a fiction book about some aspects of your life? Can you indeed be truthful without being biased? Is it often not advised to write a fiction book about your life because your characters can often fall into the archetype, a perfect character with no flaws, of which that is not reality? Now, this happens because it is difficult for us to be unbiased about ourselves. But if you can write a true story while giving the real character flaws, you are right, it can work. How to write a book about your life in 10 simple steps. Now we're going into detail. So, you have discovered you have something to share with the world, but what you do not know is how the heck to make it happen. Here are fresh thinking top tips for writing your life story. Let's start with the first one, journaling. Journaling and free writing. Take a few minutes to free write or journal each day, focusing on one memory. A good writing prompt for this free write session is to write about a significant 24 hours in your life. Journaling will help you get started. You write memories from this critical moment in your life that will be used later to build upon, to create your non-fiction narrative. Even if you do not ultimately use this particular memory in your overall narrative, getting into the habit of writing down memories will benefit you as a writer and help keep those memories fresh. Explore using a non-fiction writing prompt to help you get started. Number 2, outline and organize. After you have written down a variety of memories, whether they are a part of an overall narrative or a collection of essays, they now need to be organized into a coherent story in order to actually write it. Since you are writing your life story, technically the plot line is already there. It just must be written down and organized in a manner that will speak to your audience. However, if you are the more organized type and not like other writers, outlining what memories you want to include in your life story may help flow the writing. Not only can an outline help you get clear on the message and order you will write your book, but it can also help you form writing goals that will set up a writing habit. These are 2 keys to finishing your book. Other writers struggle with writing unless they have an outline or a book template, even if it is a book outline of their own life. It all depends on you, the writer. Number 3, pick your genre. Creative nonfiction has become the most popular genre in the literary and publishing communities. Several book genres fall under the nonfiction genre: memoirs, essay collections, autobiographies, motivational books, and more, of course. Since you are writing a book about your life, it might feel like you must put in the memoir genre, but that is not always the case. It might hurt your book sales to mislabel your book as a memoir when it is more a self-help in a specific category. So pay attention to that. If you are struggling to decide whether your book is about your life, a memoir, or autobiography, pay attention to what I will share right now. Are you ready? Listening? Thank you. The main difference between memoirs, autobiographies, are their focus. Memoirs focus primarily on one specific time or memory of one's life, like a battle with a disease, traveling to a foreign country, or adopting a special pet, or the period you traveled about to study abroad, of the period of, or maybe the period you spend in exile. Whatever the reason, the world is eagerly waiting for your story. Autobiographies or biographies of oneself focus primarily on your entire life from start to finish, from when you were born until you die, or at least until the current moment in your life, with details about achievements or notable moments. Autobiographies also tend to be more factual than creative, though some very professionally written autobiographies have been published. Now, what if neither of these books makes sense for your book about your life? Maybe you do not have a specific period you want to focus on, but you do not necessarily want to tell your story, your entire life story from start to finish. This is where a collection of personal and lyrical essays may be more of your style. Collections of personal papers are like the non-fiction version of a collection of stories. If you are still uncertain about which non-fiction genre or subgenre to write your life story in. The fresh thinking writers will handhold you from start to the end. We have reviewed local and global memoir writing programs, and it will be our pleasure to share with you your journey, to tell your story. So sit back, relax. There is a solution for you. Number 4, research. Regardless of how you begin writing your life story, with free writing or outlining, research can help you build on memories to create a fuller account and establish you as a credible writer. Memories are fickle, and we do not always remember things correctly, especially if we are writing about something that happened many, many years ago. Researching for a book can seem like a daunting task. In fact, out of all the research you will end up doing, only a tiny percent will end up in your story. To find that small percentage, however, you will need to do research. Here are some tips for book research. When writing a book about your life, your story, list memories or facts you are not 100% certain about. Ask family members or others close to you for details. Get quotes from those people if necessary. When writing and you come across something you need to research, make a note to research and keep writing to write faster. We guarantee that if you follow the Fresh Thinking Writers course, you will have your first memoir draft of 50,000 words. That's right, in 100 days or less. Before you panic, all it requires is to provide you with 100 questions, of which each day you only write 500 words. This will only take 30 minutes or less per day. Number 5, identify characters and perspective. The people you have met in your life influence you somehow, and as such, they will influence how you write your life story. Here are some tips for organizing these characters for your story. Make a list of people, also known as characters, and in this case, you want to include in your story. Write down their description, physical appearance, their age, the background. Write down their relationship to you, and if you are close or distant to them. Once you enroll with Fresh Thinking Writers to write your story, we will assist you in describing them in your narrative through the rule of show, don't tell. Readers can visualize them and understand how they affected your life personally. The only thing you may have to alter is a character's real name or names. Changing names can protect a person's identity in their story. Unless you have permission to use someone's actual name, change it and include a disclaimer at the beginning of your story. Make a note in your character list of words you change. That way you can track who is who. Also, just because this is your life story, so technically it is told from your point of view, doesn't mean you can't explore the other characters' perspectives in your story. Keep other characters' point of view in mind. Will give your story more dimension and help you avoid a one-sided train of thought narrative. Number 6, add speculation. Use speculation. to fill in gaps in your life story. Not sure if one of your character's motivation is your memory of the event a big foggy. Using what you already know combined with the research you have conducted, speculate to the best of your ability. Words and phrases like perhaps, maybe, and I wonder if show your reader that you, the narrator, are speculating at that time. Try to find creative ways to speculate as well. You are, in a sense, still telling a true story. You are using what you know to create a hypothesis about something that is still a mystery to you. If you were to claim this hypothesis were true without facts to back it up, you could end up in big trouble in your memo or story. Number 7, determine the setting. Readers want to know where your life story took place or the setting. Like fiction, you need to consider how the location of this story affected you as a person. Here are some questions to help you discover the setting of your book. Where was this place? What did it look like? Did you enjoy living or visiting there? Do you remember any smells from the area? What was the culture like there? Were you a spectator of that culture, immersed in it? How did the setting contribute to your experience? What mood did that setting elicit? Details like these affected your life tremendously, maybe more than you realize, and therefore must be included in your narrative, just as they will be if this were a fictional story. Not only that, but this helps paint a much clearer picture for your readers and creates a more entertaining and authentic experience as well. Number 8, remember the dialogue. Even if you are writing a non-fiction book, the dialogue is still very, very crucial. When you forget to write dialogue, the book can end up reading like a very, very dull textbook. Dialogue is what gives the writing and the story itself life. But that leaves the challenge of writing accurate dialogue. Unless you used a tape recorder or video to record a conversation, chances are you are not going to recall previous discussions word for word. Just write down what you remember to the best of your ability and paraphrase if you must. If you are still on good terms with the person you are speaking with within your memory, try contacting them to be sure that their memory of the conversation is like yours. You can even ask them to approve any written dialogue in quotes if it is not 100% accurate to what was said. Write dialogue the same way it will be used in a fiction book. And remember to use correct dialogue formatting and tags. Number 9, prepare for negative pushback. Not all of us have sweet stories with cute pets. Sometimes our memories and experiences are on the dark side. If you are going to write and publish a personal and scandalous true story about your life, steel yourself for these kinds of adverse reactions, particularly from those in your life unhappy with you telling the story to begin with. Non-fiction writing that is not dark is still liable for receiving negative feedback from those who appear in the story, even if their names are changed. Some people may react simply because they were written in the story at all. Number 10, commit to finishing your book. Life is short, so live it fully. Aim to start writing today because tomorrow may not show up on your calendar. Why start something that you won't see to the end? You need to finish what you start. Your story can only get out into the world if you commit to finishing your first draft and publishing your book. That's right. Do not just commit to your book. Commit to yourself and to doing something you can be proud of. Commit to something that will be here long after you are gone, and write your book. Fresh thinking writers, it's in search of your story. Be one of the million stories we are co-creating globally. Be part of writing stories, for we lived in extraordinary times, and you and I are part of humanity. Tell your story boldly, frankly, for no one will erase your story in a million years from now. We have a global network of writing coaches that will partner with you as you leave your footprints on the planet called Earth. Signing off, yours, Dr. Meshack Khosa, the Thinking Futurist. Write your own story. Thank you.